Weald to Waves test and trial was really trying to work out a way to deliver a truly landscape scale nature corridor. So all the local partners, whether it's the South Downs or the Wildlife Trust or the Environment Agency or Natural England, the landowners at the Ashdown Estate and at Climping Farm said, let's try and join us all together to make a safe corridor for nature.
Weald to Waves is a citizen project. A few of you get together, set a clear ambition that people can relate to, ecosystem recovery. If you can find a start point and an end point, so the start point in this case is the Ashdown, and the end point is our farm here at Climping. The mean high water is the end of the Weald to Waves, so it's to the waves.
Ashdown Forest is 2,500 hectares of internationally protected land. It's a special protection area for its heath and birds, a special area of conservation for its heathland species, and it's a site of special scientific interest. The common lands elements is some of the most wildlife-rich areas in the southeast of England. We're part of the Weald to Waves project, which connects all the way across the county, running all the way down to Climping on the south coast. We really want to see wildlife running through the landscape. So John Lawton produced a report for the government in 2010, Making Space for Nature, and his key point was that nature reserves are great, but they've not been able to stop the decline in nature across the country. And so what he was advocating was bigger, better and more joined up landscapes.
What we were testing and trialling is how do you structure something like this? How do you get people to sign up? How do you get people to believe in it? Parts of their farm that might fit in the corridor, parts that they might be able to do through on-farm nature conservation. We had these key partners and key points on the map. So the Ashdown Forest up here, all the way down to Climping Farms down on the coast here. 7 major partners and landowners committing to being part of this corridor. So to design the map, what we then did was we thought about the existing routes and hotspots for nature that are out there. So we layered on triple SIs, we layered on BOAs, which are biodiversity opportunity areas, and we layered on existing woodlands and core sites, national trust sites, and places that we knew were good for wildlife already.
All of this is feeding into supporting food production. Restore your soils, get your soils functioning again, get them producing insects again, which then supports lots of other life. But if you're going to give more space to nature, this idea of these corridors, these hotspots for nature, these stepping stones, all these ideas then feed in.
One of the really important things we've been trying to examine is a nature-rich landscape with food production and space exclusively for nature. So not everywhere will rewild on the nature corridor. Some will be managed conservation, some will be on-farm conservation, some will be regenerative farming. It's a nature corridor, and nature comes in a million different ways and interventions, and that's what's going to be so interesting.
So we have 3 separate river systems, the Arun, the Ada and the Ouse, and the runoff from those catchments, that's up as far as the Ashdown, all ends up out in the sea. So the way we farm that land is very important.
My kids and I like to walk down towards the beach after school, and we've noticed over the past year or so, since James Barrett has planted the hedgerows, and there are logs on either side, and there are trees coming up and all sorts of vegetation, and the children love to explore.
A lot of our friends and neighbours walk to the beach every day, and so they notice the changes in the landscape. The biodiversity is increased. People love to see it.
It's not just a farm, it's become a habitat. People are reporting hearing owls at night, and because they're apex predators, they signify nature recovering all the way down the line.
The response has been unbelievable. Bringing a diverse group together of local farmers to create something bigger than what we have at the moment. And that real value of working together. You're part of something bigger, you're part of something better, you're part of something more joined up. And through that, you're more resilient, you're more capable of running a sustainable farming system.
At the beginning, this project is moving really, really fast. DEFRA were very understanding, and it gave me the scope to operate. Submitting reports, what we had scheduled, really was just born out of an organic process. We would address certain policy questions looking at how the project might shape the future ELM schemes, how to formulate the language around memorandums of understanding and sign-up schemes, and how you build the mapping technology and the route. And on one side you had corporates saying, we want to buy biodiversity, we want to buy carbon. And you have landowners saying, we want to be part of a nature corridor, and we want to sell biodiversity, we want to sell carbon. But the bit in the middle, working out how much carbon they were going to be able to sell and how much biodiversity they were going to sell, just didn't exist. Having investment to plan and measure that baseline and enter the markets is so key. We don't want to fix the funding scheme across the whole landscape. We want partners within Weald to Waves to be able to operate independently, go and find a biodiversity net gain deal, sell some carbon on their woodland.
It'll have patches of real wild areas where landowners are really willing to do some radical stuff, but on the whole it will just be farming landscapes with much more space for nature.
A tenant farmer does care as much about their natural environment and the importance of healthy ecosystems as much as any other farmer, but feels excluded. And I think the Weald to Waves helps to break down those traditional barriers.
This is a project that carries on word of mouth through farmer clusters, and the more people hear about it, the more it resonates. Every single person that I speak to along the corridor who is farming that land has a deep connection to the landscape, knowing what they want to bring back or restore. We hope for the Weald to Waves to become a toolkit that people can pick up and adopt and adapt, and they can join their communities together and they can join their landscapes together. If we can do it here in one of the most heavily industrialised, farmed and populated parts of the country, then I have high hopes that it will be replicated elsewhere.
I see it as this scale. We've got monoculture at this end of the scale and we've got organic farming at this end. People are frightened that it's a binary choice, that we're either restoring nature or we're farming. We can't do both. And of course we can do both. My biggest worry is what sort of state are we going to leave nature in when I finish my farming career? And I'm adamant I'm going to leave it in a better condition than I found it.